What's going on, guys? It's Sway. The setting is a little bit different because we are at this woman's lovely home. So what I want to go over is advice for women doing their first boudoir shoot. I'm a dude, I own testicles, so I figure it's probably better if these two are here with me so they can kind of give you your perspective. So without further ado, what tips do you guys have for some of these lovely ladies?
I wasn't ready for the testicle thing. My biggest tip would be if the photographer is pushy from the start when it comes to just discussing the idea of a risque photo shoot. If you get any sort of inkling that it might be pushy or the guy's kind of like, I don't know how to like word it, pushing too hard to get you to do it.
Sounding too desperate that he wants to see you half naked.
Then I would recommend not shooting with said person.
It's gonna be a pass.
Solid.
Hard no. Yeah, to build off of that, if he sounds like a little thirsty or a little too excited to get you on camera, and you know, he gives you your rates and then you say, okay, I'll be in touch, and then it's like every other day it's like, hey, it's like, okay, like I'm good. Like that alone is super weird, and that's gonna come off on camera really weird and uncomfortable, and no one's gonna have a good time doing that.
And Jackie and I, the first time we shot together, we took a shot of tequila before our shoot. That was our idea.
Yes.
So if you want to bring alcohol, that's up to you. If the photographer insists on bringing it, I would not recommend obviously taking any of it. Again, if they're pushy with it, don't recommend taking it or following through with that shoot.
Yeah, and then for any of the photographers watching, from what she just said, do not think it's a good idea to bring alcohol to help them loosen up. I don't care how good your intentions are. The world is a fucked up place. Dudes be out here doing weird shit. So just do not bring that. If the girl decides to bring that on her own, cool, but it is not up to you to make that as a suggestion.
Also, April and I, we did our first one together, and I feel like that also helped a lot. You know, you bring a friend. One friend is enough, or if you want to do a shoot with a friend, so it's not super awkward, although we were awkward, but it was fun awkward. Yeah. But it made it fun. It didn't make it weird and forced and just uncomfortable, because there was 3 of us there, so we kind of had a good time with it. Then we only had 1 shot, and you know, that was enough. And it made it a lot easier for us. There was a lot of laughs, a lot of bloopers.
Too many. We have more bloopers than actual good shots.
Make sure it's in a location that you're comfortable with. If it's a location that's pretty deserted that the photographer also picked and doesn't allow you to bring somebody for comfort, or insists on bringing an assistant that is also another male if the photographer is male and it's a shoot in an area that you're not comfortable with, I feel like that's a gigantic red flag. So you should look out for that as well.
And if you're gonna do a location like that and you're gonna go alone, make sure you tell somebody about that location and the times that you're going to be there, or just put your location on so everyone can find you.
That too.
Awesome. Yeah, and then so pretty much the main thing you guys are starting to see here is just make sure you're in a scenario where you're comfortable. So what I say to do is find a photographer first off that you're going to be comfortable with. So you have a couple of options here. It could be either you have a friend or a homie that you know locally, that you've known for a while, who's a photographer, and maybe you want to try out shooting some boudoir. That's essentially how we did our first shoot. She knew me from shooting. We both worked with the same company, Canon Labs. We did a shoot for them just on some fitness stuff. We already had a relationship, so it was easier for us to shoot like that together. So finding a photographer you're comfortable with could be a friend. Another huge cheat code for this is finding a female photographer, just because inevitably you're gonna feel more comfortable being half naked or exposed around a female than you are gonna be around a male. Any dudes watching this, get mad at me if you want to for saying this. I work off of the way the world works, not how I want it to be. So that's that. But then also, cheat code, if you're a dude and you're shooting like this and you want to make your client more comfortable, do what I'm doing. I have Jackie and April, either one of them at any point in time, will be my assistant when I do these shoots, just because I know having another female present, having some female energy, you're always gonna feel more comfortable shooting like this around if there's a female there, rather than just some random dude you've never met before. So yeah, just pick a photographer that you're comfortable with. And then the other reason you want a photographer you're comfortable with is it's very hard, especially if you're not a trained model, to just pull out just a perfect fire model face out of nowhere, right? So if you're not a trained model, all those emotions do show up on camera. If you're uncomfortable with the photographer, you're gonna have a weirdly uncomfortable face on camera no matter how hard you try. So even if this dude happens to give you the best photos possible, you're gonna notice your face doesn't look how you would want it to be, and you're not gonna like the photos, and you're gonna have a generally bad experience with Boudoir, and honestly, I don't want that. I want more girls out here feeling confident, shooting Boudoir. Be your baddest self out here, queen. So yeah, find a photographer you're comfortable with is my main #1 tip for this shit.
And aside from like safety pointers and feeling safe, also like with what you wear whatever you're comfortable in. Just because it's Boudoir, it doesn't have to be the smallest, sexiest piece of lingerie out there. It could be a t-shirt, it could be boy shorts, it could be boxers, it could be whatever you feel comfortable in, because when you feel comfortable, it's going to portray on your pictures as comfortable and confident. So it doesn't have to be sultry and weird positions and like high heels and makeup. It could be whatever you find sexy for yourself.
An oversized t-shirt. Say you had lingerie underneath. I would just say if you get any sort of uncomfortable feeling in general, I would listen to that feeling. If you're shooting with someone, it's the first time you're shooting with them and you're in a t-shirt, you got something underneath it and they keep pushing for you to take it off right away, I would obviously not do it unless you're comfortable with it. But if they just keep pushing and pushing and pushing, obviously don't do it because you feel pressured. Only do it if you actually genuinely want to remove that article of clothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then the thing is, if you look up the definition of boudoir, it's essentially just shooting at, like if I just break it down because it's a fucking paragraph. But essentially boudoir is just at home, right? At the place where you feel comfortable. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to wear lingerie looking like you're ready to be a fucking Victoria's Secret angel. One of our shots here, which I'll put on screen, right? You can see she's literally just there, t-shirt, thong on, fire. Our first shoot actually was a similar vibe too. We had you in like what, a hoodie or some shit at one point almost? Yeah. We had her in like a little crop hoodie, had the Calvin Klein thong on type of vibe, I think is what it was. And we just rocked out, pretty much whatever lets her feel comfortable. And then just to add on to the pushy thing, when we had shot actually, I don't know if you remember, I had made a suggestion. I was like, yo, if you're comfortable with it, which first of all, whenever like I'm suggesting taking an article of clothing off, I always word it as a suggestion, never like a recommendation or you should do this. So I was just kind of like, look, if you're cool with it, we'll have a shot. You'll be facing away from the camera. I won't see anything. If you're comfortable with taking the top off. She didn't even get a chance to say no. I saw her face was uncomfortable. I immediately moved on and I was like, let's do a different pose. Just to make it easier. Because if you start harping on that, you might have got a bunch of good shots before and she might have been comfortable. Once you fuck up the vibe of the shoot, you can never bring the fucking vibe back. So just always make sure, keeping the girls comfortable is honestly the main priority with all of these shoots.
I feel like that also goes back to you saying like you asked and you saw that I was uncomfortable. That helped me develop more trust in Clive within that first shoot, whereas we're on our, only going into our third soon, or fourth really.
Yeah.
And it's to the point that I'm completely comfortable doing whatever I feel like I want to do in front of him. I would have to say because of that first comment in that shoot where I wasn't comfortable and he recognized it right away.
And that's also like normal. Like you don't have to shoot with one photographer and give it all out there. Like you build a relationship with that person and you move forward and you shoot with them a couple of times, and each time it's like, okay, you get a little bit more comfortable, you build a little bit more trust. And then another thing that you do that I like is you start all your shoots with maximum amount of clothing, and then as the day goes on, as we're shooting, obviously you get a little more comfortable, and then it's like, all right, well maybe I'll do this or I'll take this off. It's like you start from the most to the least amount if you're comfortable with that. But you always give that option, which I think is also really cool, because you're not starting off with like, all right, get naked. It's like,
yeah, my general rule of thumb is always start with what's the most covered first, and then we'll work our way more comfortable. Because let's say you pulled up to the shoot, you brought 3 outfits with you, and then like, let's just say in degrees of spice from 1 to 10. The first one is a 2, next one is a 4, next one is a 8. You might make it to 4 and then realize, yo, look, I'm comfortable, but not as comfortable as I thought to do the 8. Stop yourself there. I'm never gonna suggest you'll pull out the 8 first. Because then, one, the 8 is the one I feel like you're gonna get the best shots from maybe, or like the more like artsy one just because more stuff is showing. So I don't want that to be the one where your face is more uncomfortable. So that's why I always work with the most covered to the least covered. Just a little tip for any of the photographers out there and also for the ladies. Another tip is find a photographer whose style lines up with what you want. So I have a style that I like to shoot. Other people have a style of how they like to shoot or how they like to edit, right? Don't go to photographer X expecting him to shoot like photographer Y, because then when you get the photos that don't look like what you want, you're gonna have a bad experience with Boudoir and you're gonna be like, why do my photos look like this? They look like that because you picked a photographer who does that. Also, I guess this is for the ladies, photographers, we're weird, we're artsy as fuck, we get emotional about the shit we make, right? don't get mad at the dude because he didn't shoot the way you wanted. Like, everyone has their style, and don't ask the dude to shoot like that, because one, he's probably not gonna be able to do it. Like, I have my way of doing it. If you ask me to shoot like Orangutan or Party with JZL or any of these other dudes I follow, I'm not gonna be able to do that. They have their style, I have mine. So just remember what you're expecting. So if you want to shoot with Orangutan, but you're like, man, he's out of my budget, probably save your money so you can shoot with Orangutan, because if you ask me to do a shoot like that, I'm not gonna be able to do it for you.
That's another thing. You know, these things are expensive, so you pay for what you get. So if someone's like, oh yeah, I'll shoot you $100 and you hate it, well, it's $100. So I mean, you gotta do your research. You really gotta make sure you like that person's style, and you know, if you like it, then go for it. But if you find that everything on their page, you're like, yeah, I don't really like it, but let me go through it, maybe mine will be different, probably won't be different, and you're probably gonna hate it. So
yeah, I feel like that's also another red flag too. If the guy's like, oh, $50, like,
yeah,
that's
like, okay, you just want to
him
see my boobs,
doing whatever he can do to get you in front of that camera. So I wouldn't recommend going for someone, unless it's like Clive reaching out to me at first. We already worked for Condemned, like he said, saying, hey, I want to get into this, would you be willing to help me out because you have that look? That's a different story. If, like I said, I worked with him before, not a total stranger, but if it's someone like you've never shot with before and right away they're like, oh, let's just do this, like, I won't charge you, I feel like that's something you want to look into before you just shoot right away.
1000%.
Yeah.
And then I guess my last tip for just doing your first boudoir shoot, have fun with it. The looks don't have to be some crazy shit with stockings, straps, all kinds of like wild shit that these two brought in for that one shoot, right? Like, it can be some playful shit, like work off of your personality. Like, if you're quirky and you're weird, AKA these two motherfuckers, if you're quirky and weird, be quirky and weird. I have shots of her where like some of our best shots are literally just sometimes it's like should I catch off guard? Like, they're laughing and giggling, but like some of our like favorite shots are like some of these like weird like off camera like kind of like candid moments. Like, just work up your personality. So if you know you're like, yo, look, I'm like a bubbly like whatever sweetheart, I can't really do like the come fuck me face or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Also, if the photographer ever says, yo, give me that come fuck me face, I've seen a photographer do that before. I'm not gonna say who it was, but like, hey, more power to you. That's just weird for me, bro. I'm not doing it. But yeah, if you're not the person who puts on that face, you're just more of like the, yo, I'm the girl next door, whatever, bubbly vibes. Dude, rock out with the fucking bubbly vibes, yo. Just have a fun time. Like, it's just a shoot. You're there to have fun. You're there to make memories. Like, don't go like crazy thinking about, oh, I have to look like fucking Giselle Bundchen or whatever the fuck it is. Like, yo, just have fun with this shit. That's it.
it's all about you.
Yeah, you shouldn't be doing it for anyone other than yourself. Like, if you, sorry to cut you off, but like if you want to do a shoot and you're like, oh, I just want to do this so I can post it on Instagram, I would say you're doing the shoot for the absolute wrong reason.
Definitely for the wrong reason.
But that's just my opinion.
Definitely. If you don't come out of your first or any boudoir shoot feeling 10 times like better about yourself, something wasn't right.
Yeah.
Something wasn't right, because every shoot that I've ever done with Clive, I'm like, oh my god, like, that's me? Like, are you kidding me? Shit.
Even like personal images, if you don't want to show people nude photos, like, you should want to go to, like, you have a significant other, you should want to run to them right away and be like, look at this shot, like, look at the shoot that I did, but not necessarily want to like flaunt it to everyone, I guess.
Yeah.
And then even like to add on to that, our first shoot that we did, the Jupiter House shoot, most of those photos never even got posted. Like, honestly, most of that shit was just for you guys. Like, make sure when you're doing the shoot, like, I guess that's a tip I didn't even write down here, but make sure you're just doing the shoot for you. Like, don't do it because like, oh, I think this is gonna get me likes. Like, do it so like when you look at the shit at the end of the day and you're like old and you show up, you're like, yo, back in the day I was a bad bitch. Like, just have this something for you just to give yourself a confidence boost. Like, oh, you're feeling a little down one day, yo, and then you can swipe through your phone and be like, man, what am I over here down on this bitch ass dude for? Like, do you see me? Like, I'm bad. So yeah, just make sure you're doing the shoot for you, and like I said, have a fucking fun time, dude. It's not that serious. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it helps you get the ball rolling on doing your first boudoir shoot. I want to see more girls getting out of their comfort zone safely and doing their first boudoir shoot this year, because I'm not gonna be mad about seeing just more girls out here shooting some spice on my feed. I'll tell you right now, I'm not gonna be mad about that. So without further ado, I'm Sway.
Jackie.
April.
And we'll see you next time. And then also, I'm gonna link everybody's Instagrams down below, and also be sure to follow Sway's Club, because we're gonna be having some spice there, kids. So make sure to give us a follow. Later.
See ya.
Do I look fat?
Just kidding.
Oh, I gotta brush my hair.
Do you want to?
No, I'm good.
Take a nap, I'm tired. Just wake me up when I have to talk.
So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it gets the... We're gonna run that back because I don't know what the fuck I just said. Nigga, English was beyond me.